What's happening, crypto fam? You're tuned in to the Elite Wealth Podcast, where we unlock the secrets of crushing it in the Web3 and cryptocurrency space. I'm Tyler Brewer, alongside the co-host Garrison Raleigh. And since 2016, we've been educating, enriching, and empowering hundreds of students across the globe on how to make waves and create generational wealth in this space.
Each episode, Tyler and I keep it real with you, analyzing the top market movers and industry leaders, the latest news, and how to avoid the potholes on the road to crypto riches. We're industry vets who have guided students over 500% gains in this wild 2024 market.
If you're a rookie crypto trader or a seasoned investor, you're in the right hands. We will teach you how to level up your mindset and skills to really capitalize on this decentralized revolution.
Subscribe now and join us every week as we lead you step by step into elite digital wealth with the Elite Wealth Podcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Elite Wealth Podcast. Today, this is the Web3 revolution. What's up, Garrison? How are you, bro?
Good, fam. It's going good. This is going to be another good episode here. Episode 7. We're at episode 7 now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's dive right into it, bro. The Web3 revolution. I think an important thing we should do to begin is really tell people what Web2 is, because it might be a new term for a lot of people. What is Web2? What's Web3? How do we get from Web2 to Web3? If you want to jump into that, bro, jump right in.
Of course, yeah. I mean, think about, before I get into like the definition kind of more, we'll think about like media, social medias, blogs, wikis, and cloud-based services, kind of like Instagram, Facebook, what we all use kind of currently a lot of the time. But Web 2 refers to the evolution of the internet that emerged in the early 2000s, focusing on user participation and interaction, transformed static websites into dynamic platforms where users could create and share content like Instagram or Facebook, collaborate and engage, socially, like social media. So that's what Web 2 is. Most of us are probably familiar, especially if you're listening to the podcast. You're you're living in Web 2 right now, pretty much.
Yeah, I think an easy way too to like kind of like separate the two, like think about it like this: every social media you have a different login. Every if you have a bank account, if you have multiple bank accounts, every single one of them you have different logins, different passwords. Web3, you have one password, and you have one job: keep your money safe. But yeah, I think an easy way to say Web 2 in simple terms, bro, is like, imagine, you have multiple passwords for everything, right? Spotify, Instagram, so Snapchat, this thread, everything. But yeah, man, tell us a little bit about the Web 3 since
yeah, so Web 3 is
about.
really like the evolution of Web 2. It just goes a little bit farther. Web 3 is the next proposed iteration of the internet. It's built on blockchain technology and decentralized principles, which we have covered a lot in the last few episodes, and we will continue to always cover even in this episode. It aims to create a more user-centric internet where individuals have greater control over their data and digital assets, which we will further explain how as we get farther into this episode. But some of the key features include, dApps, decentralized applications, like, we've talked about a few in the past episodes. Again, we'll continue to talk about some this episode, but cryptocurrency integration and trustless transaction without the intermediaries. Web3 emphasizes digital ownership, privacy, and reduced reliance on centralized platforms. It basically takes the middleman out of it, that centralized figure out of it. It takes Facebook out of the equation. It takes Google out of the equation. It takes JP Morgan out of the equation.
Facts, man. Yeah. So I mean, and really, again, simple terms, the difference between Web 2, Web 3. Web 2, centralized client server model. You got Web 3, it's the decentralized peer-to-peer network model. And with that comes a lot of things. There's a lot of different things we're going to dive into, but the first thing is data control. The difference between Web 2 and Web 3 data control. Data right now, I have Brave browser pulled up, and this is something we've been using for almost probably 3 years, maybe longer now. But Brave browser pays you to use their search engine. You can use Google Chrome extensions. It's almost Google Chrome, but it's called Brave browser. There's a lot less ads, a lot less,
Yeah,
you know,
facts.
saves you a lot of time. And it even actually tells me right now from using it, I've saved 11.4 hours of my time because it doesn't spend time loading all these ads. And what's cool about that is the data side of things, right? Web 2 data, selling data is a huge business. It's an
Yeah, it is.
enormous business. You know, I was looking up some statistics before we did this, and I was like, oh, you know, Apple's got to make a lot. Well, Apple's got their own thing they do with their data, right? They don't actually even sell it; they kind of just utilize it for themselves. And I'm sure there's some way they sell it, but it was hard to find a lot of information on this. So again, Web 2 is controlled by large corporations. One of the largest data brokers, their annual revenue is approximately $900 million. This was in 2020. Then you have another company, it's called Epsilon, I think it's called. Annual revenue is around 2 billion in 2019 before it got acquired by a different company, and which is the public group, I think it is. And then there was another one called Oracle Data Cloud. Specific revenue for data services was not disclosed, but their total annual revenue was about 40.5 billion in 2019.
Dang,
And there's so many other ones.
that's
But
crazy.
companies like Facebook, now Meta, and Google, they're not traditional data brokers, but they make a significant revenue from targeted advertising based on user data, which they collect. You allow them to. And that's what happens when you're on here. And again, they're selling information, your information. In Web3, you own your information. And if you choose to, you could sell it, right? You could, the same way they're doing it, but you make the money. Now, it's not as profitable as it is for them as it is for us, right? But they're doing it on a large scale. They're collecting it
Yeah,
and doing it on
like
a large scale.
millions of people.
Yeah, bro.
And how many people
Billions.
use Facebook?
Yeah, I mean, dude, tons. So, you know, there's a bunch of companies where you can actually sell your data for a profit. And this is all in crypto, right? So there's Ocean Protocol, you got Brave Browser, there's Oasis Labs, Data Vault, Streamer, Datum, Tide Foundation, Greens, IOVO, Killy.
Sh-
There's a ton of them. And these are
To
just a
give
few
you
to
an
name.
idea, sorry,
You're
to
good.
give you an idea on how many people use Facebook, I just looked it up, 3.96 billion monthly active people.
There you go. And they're giving away their information where they give a company, right? And that's why when you search for an ad, like let's say you go on Google and you're like looking for a couch, and then you go on Facebook, everything's like targeted like a couch, right? Because you searched it on Google. They have your info, they're using that data, that information. So you know, it's really taking control of it. And when it comes to data, again, data is a huge industry. So I'm really interested to see how this Web3 revolutionizes the way we do things, because I think, you know, we say Bitcoin's going to do it, but Web3 is also going to do it as well, because we had the Standard Oil back in the day, were industrialized, right? We had motors, the creation of motors, engines, like it. We pretty much astronomically grew from the time we got motors to now, and the same thing is going to happen when we have the digital energy and the Web3 technologies. But yeah, man, if you want to cover a couple other things too, I mean, feel free.
Yeah, for sure. I'll go ahead and jump in here. Like we've kind of talked about identity management, but monetization, like Web3 created token-based economics, direct user to creator value transfer. Token-based economics is just basically when they create a coin, it's all put into the code, and it's basically economics, just token-based. So you can look at all that and, kind of make your own opinion on whether you feel like these are good economics for a certain ecosystem. Web 2 has advertising driven, and they use a lot of user data as their product. So that's a lot of times how like Meta and bigger companies like Facebook, that's how they're earning their monetization, is just selling their user data or selling advertisements on their platform. And
Facts, bro.
also, like, the infrastructure of Web3 is so much more safer than like a and like Web 2. So Web 2 is centralized servers and cloud services. We've seen, I don't know if we've ever seen Facebook get hacked, but I know we've seen Microsoft get hacked. I'm pretty sure like we've seen JP Morgan get hacked before, and
Yep.
it's because it's on one centralized location server. Web 3 is distributed ledgers around the whole world. Hundreds of computers are, storing and interacting with this information. And we've actually covered this in recent episodes on how hard it is to actually hack Bitcoin specifically. It's virtually impossible. So,
Yeah, bro. I mean, you
um,
need a couple planets, and the last
yeah,
time I checked, nobody owns one. So if you figure
yeah,
that out, feel free to drop a comment below. We'll go in on the
I'll
next planet
invest in
together.
that. Um,
But yeah,
Go
bro, like
ahead.
there's a lot of things like you said, the infrastructure, the monetization, because and like even the monetization aspect. And again, a lot of these things we'll probably cover in a couple different ways, give a couple different examples, but you think of like a decentralized YouTube, like a streaming platform. Imagine it's in the coding, right? Sometimes like if you mention certain words, you get cut at the throat. Or if you talk about certain things, like big companies like YouTube will demonetize you. Well, the thing with free speech here in America is, there's good and bad with it, right? The good is you can say what you want and say how you feel. The bad is some
Yeah.
people say what they want and say how they feel. So, but you don't have to agree with it. That's the thing. But imagine being able to say what you want, and as long as you're a good person, you'll attract a large tribe. There's always a good and bad to a tool, and everything is a tool. My cup is a tool. We could waterboard a mouse with this cup in the drink, or we could drink out of the cup. And I'm gonna
Right.
choose the positive part of a tool every time. But in with these, right, we have the infrastructure like Garrison talked about, the identity management, the governance, the privacy, the ownership of your assets. Digital assets in Web 2 are usually platform dependent. Web 3, you have the true ownership of it. Go to the bank, right? Today's Monday, luckily. Yesterday, if I wanted to go into the bank and talk about my money, get 10K from the bank, the ATM ain't going to give it to me and the bank's closed. If I wanted to wire Garrison 10K in cash, or not cash, but I wanted to wire it to him, I probably couldn't have did it yesterday because the bank was closed. And
Oh, well,
right
then
now I'm
don't forget
limited
about the
on,
fees.
yeah, and don't forget about the fees, but I'm also limited on when I can do it. So in Web3, you have the true ownership of an asset, because if you can't have your asset whenever you want it, do you own or really have the asset, right? It's really simple, I think, but most people don't really think about this because we're just kind of trained and programmed to just trust that the government is going to fix everything. And if there's a problem, the government will fix it. And if the government makes a problem, they'll create more governments to fix the problem that they made, which ultimately leads to not good. But let's focus let's focus more on the Web3 side of things, because again, this is a lot of these things are niche, right? I know we're talking about like a wide variety of topic, but each of these things are very niche and precise because they can change their entire industry, and they're going to in
Yeah.
time. It just we're in the process.
No, for sure. But yeah, we'll go ahead jump into more Web3 based like decentralized finance. So what decentralized finance is, it's a peer-to-peer lending platforms, specifically like Aave or Compound. It allows users to lend and borrow crypto without banks, without a KYC, without discrimination on what your credit is, on what your, where you live, where you come from, whatever the case is. You don't, as long as you have the crypto and you qualify for the loan, you can get the loan. And um, there's also decentralized exchanges like Uniswap where you can change where you're able to use and swap tokens without having to rely on a centralized platform.
Yeah, Garrison, like, something I thought about too is because we have some NFTs that are worth some high value, bro. Imagine, right? You wanted to cash out or go like swap some of that money, even on a centralized exchange.
Yeah.
You might have some trouble moving certain amounts of money on those centralized exchanges. and it's going to take a little more time. Imagine you wanted to get that money or swap it for one to another. They're going to also charge you the swap fees, right? If you're not paying for their subscription plan, they're going to charge you, and you're going to get it at a higher price than you probably would on a decentralized platform. I know when I'm sending things and paying for things off of my ledger versus Coinbase, the price is way different. When when I'm swapping something for Bitcoin, price is way different. Gas fees are way smaller, bro. I don't know if you've noticed that, but
Yeah, I mean, I've experienced that before. Like, I was trying to get this specific NFT and I couldn't move enough money through Coinbase. It like kind of locked my account down. So I couldn't send any out. I couldn't, withdraw any, and I had to, I ended up wiring somebody money. Good thing I trusted them. But you should never go about an NFT transaction like that unless you trust
yeah,
someone.
no, definitely not.
But
Unless you know the person, you know where they live, you know who they are.
yeah, I knew them
Um,
personally, so it was okay in that circumstance. It was one of my friends, so um but
but
yeah, so
yeah, dude,
like
I think that's so important too. Like, just like understanding that, when in the decentralized finance world, you have your money. You could touch your money every moment of the day. Like, whenever you want, you could move all of your money. You can't do that easily in the traditional finance world. It just doesn't happen. It's not possible.
yeah. And but so before we kind of dig into what DeFi, I know I kind of went over the definition, but I want to go over like typical finance and Web 2. I know we've covered it already, so we'll do it quickly, but centralized exchanges like Coinbase and Binance we just talked about, they're a little bit slower sometimes. Fees are sometimes higher if you're not paying. Um, they can lock your money down. It's technically not yours there. And you have to get loans and credit cards, or I mean, credit cards through banks as well, loans and credit reports through banks, fiat currency based systems, which we've covered what fiat currency is, slow international transfers with high fees. We've also covered how much it takes to send $100,000 from here to across the country.
Yep.
Limited access to financial services in some regions. There's people that don't even have the option to get a bank. It's either too far or they can't afford it, or maybe they don't have a good enough credit
Yeah, bro.
or not
I
enough
think
money
that's
to even store in a bank.
Well, that's important too, because most people, when a lot of Americans forget there's other countries. Like, they forget
Yeah,
that every
yeah,
country isn't like America. They think everybody could just go get a bank. Like, it's not like that. Go to Africa. There's a lot of people unbanked. Like, a lot of the population can't get a bank. And if they can, they're in places like Argentina, where the monthly inflation rate or the yearly inflation rate is 276%. So the average monthly inflation rate's 8%. So even if you have a bank, you don't want to store your currency in there. And then when you're in certain places, they will actually they'll discriminate against you, because one of our buddies, Garrison, actually, I have screenshots of it. I shared it in the Discord, but the bank will literally ban him and stop any of his like processes if he gets caught buying crypto with his bank account or
oh
transacting with
wow,
crypto.
yeah, I remember
But
that.
their currency loses so much value, more than the Argentina peso right now, because the Argentina money is doing all right for the month apparently, but it's one of the highest inflation rates in the world. So then you look at, I think it's the Naira is the actual token. If you go and look at it, you can do the research for yourself, but it just keeps losing value. And there's a lot of stipulations on what they can use. They're not allowed to use crypto. They're not allowed to store it in this. They can't pay in that. So they make you use this terrible asset of, right, the fiat currency based systems. But then
Yeah,
that kind of leads us to the Web3 side of things, right? Because there's a lot of faults in the Web2, which is why Web3, I think, was created in the first place, right? Web3, we got the peer-to-peer lending platforms, like Garrison said, Aave and Compound, the decentralized exchanges, Uniswap, SushiSwap. I don't know why they're all, sushi, uni, whatever. But prediction markets, you got yield farming, liquidity. You got algorithmic stable coins, which we've seen they've not got a good history, but decentralized derivatives and synthetic assets, blockchain based insurance products, tokenized assets, flash loans. Flash loans, we've learned, are kind of crazy.
yeah,
Governance through token
crazy.
voting, which is sweet. cross-border payments with low fees and faster transactions, decentralized identity and reputation systems. But inside of these, like lending and borrowing, right? In crypto, you can lend and borrow money, which is awesome because, for example, you could take, I think it's 72%, Garrison, or maybe 82% on Aave, and you can lock up, let's say you have 100K, you could take up to, we'll call it 60% with a good margin of what is it called? The safe term, whatever it is. But you could take about 60% of your money. So you lock up 100K, you could take 60% and get a loan of your own money, but you still own the 100K. And then as long as you have a safe health factor, that's what the word is.
Yeah,
As long
yeah,
as you have a
health
safe
factor.
health factor, you don't even have to pay it back monthly. You just have to have a nice health factor. And depending on what you took the loan out in is, again, this is all more detail, but it's all part of the Web3, right? The trading, the swap tokens on decentralized exchanges. At any moment, you can see, like in Web2, if you're trading Forex, you're using a broker. And then in the broker, you can see where you get liquidated, where your right, where your stop loss is, but you can't see where everybody else gets liquidated. Go to DeFi Llama, you can click a little tab on the left called liquidations, and then there's a percentage and distributions thing. Click the percentage, and you can see where every single, like on whatever currency you can take a loan out in crypto, you can see where people get liquidated. We just watched somebody lose $9 million the other day when Bitcoin hit 63K because of their leverage position.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to, it's so transparent, honest. And that's what's amazing about it. You got the yield farming, the stable coins. A lot of people don't know what yield farming is. It's pretty much getting interest. Stable coins, imagine $1, but it holds its value. It doesn't lose money, right? And with gold, they started putting less gold in the coins, but still saying it was X amount of gold. Derivatives, you could trade, synthetic assets. Like Garrison and I have used a thing called Gains Network. Gains Network allows you to trade leverage on crypto and with low fees. If you've ever traded Forex or used a broker to trade crypto and it wasn't a decentralized, derivatives platform, it's wait till you
Yeah.
see the fee difference.
It's almost not worth taking the trade sometimes.
Yeah, bro. But there's cool things too. And here in Florida, you can get insurance, hurricane insurance, and you can pay for it with crypto.
You can insure your
Prediction
crypto
markets.
as well in
Yeah,
specific protocols too. So if you're worried about, maybe you don't feel safe in the cryptocurrency or Web3 space, you can insure it. It just works like typical insurance. You're going to be paying in monthly. I don't know exactly how it works in crypto, but I'm assuming you'd be paying monthly or yearly, at least monthly, I would assume, to
yeah,
protect it. If you lose it, they know what you have. They can see on the blockchain what you have, so you can't lie about what you have, and then
facts,
they
man.
send it back, I would assume. Or at least whatever you insured, maybe up to 50% you can insure, or I'm sure there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. Because with smart contracts, you can really do
Just
whatever.
about anything. Yeah. And really, we have two more topics, Garrison. I think we can probably cover them, but we might have to brief over them a little faster here.
For
Um,
sure.
we have NFTs and we have DAOs, and I believe that's it. There's a couple other things as well, but let's jump into NFTs. Let's cover it. Let's cover the difference in, because a lot of people think they're just monkey pictures when realistically it's a tokenized asset. It could be a house, it could be a car, it could be this notepad. It could realistically be anything. You can tokenize anything, digitize anything.
Correct.
Um, but yeah, bro, let's cover some NFTs and really break down a little bit of what they can do too.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and jump in and you think of like there's centralized digital art platforms. People buy and sell art all the time. I mean, um, Hunter Biden, he's known for selling art as well. Traditional collectibles and physical trading cards, that's kind of similar circumstance here. Um, Centralized gaming platforms with non-transferable assets. You're playing Fortnite's, they haven't made a new game, but we'll talk about NBA 2K. You spend all your money on, your VC, your in-game currency, so you can upgrade your character, get them to the level of 99 overall, and by the time you get it, the next season, the next game's coming out, and bam, oh no, you got to buy the $60 game again, which is actually $70 now, and then you got to buy more in-game currency to catch up to everybody. Then there's streaming services for music and entertainment. I know we talked about this last time, but Tory Lanez, he did he dropped his music on NFTs. Traditional real estate ownership, like Tyler just talked about, it's really awesome. This already happens. There's already millions, if not billions, of transactions going through cryptocurrency and NFT real estate.
Yeah,
And
there's some really cool resources too. And a lot of these things, right? Like the Web 2 side of things, like Garrison's talking about, the centralized digital art platforms, the traditional like collectibles, like trading cards, like your sports cards, basketball cards. I'm sure there's NASCAR cards,
there's
like
you
there's
can
all
do like
sorts of
anything with
trading cards.
it.
And like Garrison said, the streaming services, when you play the 2K, like none of it's transferable or interoperable. With Web 3, way different. There's way different. But like Garrison said, the centralized ticketing systems, like there's paper-based and centralized database, the credentials, the traditional supply chain management systems, like all of that stuff is outdated. It's time we update them. And with Web 3, there's a lot of ways we could do that.
Yeah,
And Garrison, you're like the NFT expert. You've been crushing the NFT
I
game.
love NFTs.
Keep covering it, bro, because again, you've been crushing it with
Yeah,
NFTs.
there's so much. It's really unlimited world when it comes to NFTs. It can be like CryptoPunks. They're worth hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, but there's actually no utility in them. There've been, I believe, the first NFT. It might have been one of the first NFTs, and basically when you buy that one, you just get access to a high value community. Um, but there's also other NFTs where where it's fundraising for loyalty programs or um, you know, virtual real estate or, like Tyler said, supply chain tracking. Imagine if you were making t-shirts, you wanted to mass produce t-shirts, you made 5,000 t-shirts and you can tell exactly where each and one of them go every time the people moving them scan it. I don't know if you guys have ever worked in a warehouse, but typically you got the scanner guns and you're scanning everything you do so they know where it goes. And those systems mess up a lot. And then you got to, take 30 pallets of things out, count everything that's there, and then add it back. But in the
Yeah, and
blockchain,
I think one thing too that you just mentioned that's super cool, bro, is the real estate side of things, right? Because a
yeah,
lot of people assume that they have to be like a picture of an ape or a monkey or some type of animal, or even the CryptoPunks, right? Those were originally free, and now they're worth hundreds of thousands, and some of them are millions of dollars.
yeah,
But I think the real estate side of things is cool. Like Garrison said, when you scan the clothes, imagine every time the car gets an oil change, boom, it's updated on the blockchain, and you can't lie about it because that's the system you use. When everything's centralized, there's opportunity for manipulation. When it's all in the blockchain and everybody can see it and everybody's transparent and honest, and you run by an ethical system, everything works better because there's no opportunity for manipulation. And with like the NFTs, you're tokenizing things. There's a house here in Gulfport that was auctioned off as an NFT. There's so many cool things that you can do with the technology other than just what people like art. Like what mostly I think a lot of people are seeing now is a lot of art. But I
yeah,
think what we'll see here is a shift in how NFTs are used and how these brands are being built. And I think we're seeing it, witnessing it right now in front of our eyes, bro.
yeah. And then yeah, there's really a lot with NFTs. Virtually about anything. The main thing that brought me to NFTs, I was a big gamer. Imagine you're done with a game and you can just you sell your assets off, whether it's worth a little bit less or hopefully it's worth more, but if you sell it for a little bit less, you usually don't expect to get your money back when you buy a game. And you can play to earn in games. The last thing I'll
Yep.
cover with NFTs is like tokenized voting rights in DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. There's 5,000 NFTs. Maybe these 5,000 people are buying this NFT because they want to be a part of this organization for DAOs. And that pretty much brings us to about our last topic is DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. Tyler, did you want to go ahead and jump into that one?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, so like in what a DAO is pretty much like a voting system, but it's on the blockchain. So It's
Right.
very honest. It's very transparent. Everybody can see how it's done. Everybody can vote as long as you hold the token that is required to vote, and anybody can buy one. So, what's cool is like you see it all the time with like Maker DAO. For example, Maker is it uses traditional finance, I guess you could say structure to do Web3 Web3 finance, the DeFi side of things. But what it does is they allow the token holders to vote on the changes to their stablecoin system. So if you own the DAI, I think, or the Maker, I think you might have to own one or the other or both. But there's stipulations, right? There's a certain amount you have to hold to vote in their system
And
on how you want it to work.
it's not just a
Now,
couple dollars.
yeah, right. No, but the thing is too, it's not to the point where like it's unreachable for people where it's like,
Right.
oh, bro, it's only only the corporations are gonna be able to vote now, because all the money comes in. No, it's not like that.
Yeah.
It's very reachable and obtainable for everybody. But in Web 2, you have the traditional corporate structures. You have centralized decision making, board of directors, and shareholders. They decide what's good for everybody instead of saying, hey, let's see what our shareholders want. The people who are investing and putting money in us, let's see what they want to do. Venture capital firms. We have the centralized project management. You have traditional charitable organizations, centralized content platforms, human resources departments, centralized dispute resolution systems. A lot of this is taken care of with a simple smart contract,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And voting systems, right? The DAO. And in the Web3 side of things, you get the decentralized governance through voting, what we just talked about, the collective treasury management. If there's a fund, like a company fund, a treasury fund for whatever system it is, you get to vote on where it goes. It could go back to the holders. Everybody can vote like, hey, let's just give all this money back to us. And if everybody votes for it, then you do it.
Yeah.
Um, it's honest, it's transparent, it's equal playing grounds, and ultimately there's no room for manipulation.
Yeah, I agree. And I know this is a little bit of a touchy or, scary subject to talk about, but I'm just gonna say I'm not on either side of this. I'm not getting political here, but there was a little bit of a conspiracy when it came down to voting results in 2020. Some people
Yep.
were saying it was faked and rigged, and there was a few things where there was a bunch of votes that came in at the same time. If this was all handled on the blockchain, we would be able to tell where these votes came from and verify that this was
Yep.
actually happening.
Yeah.
Um,
And
like
right
I
now
said,
we're
I'm
just
not picking sides, but
it's just based on trust right now too.
yeah,
Like it's based on like, do we trust these people? Well, they lied to you about aliens. Like
they'll lie
something you
to
might
us
not even
about,
care about. Like if
yeah,
they're gonna lie to you about something you don't care about, imagine what they'll lie to you about, right? If you have a significant other and you catch them lying to you, are you gonna trust them on other topics? Even a friend. I'm not gonna try if I find out my friend's been lying to me about things, I'm gonna start not really like, yeah, he's everything he says is invalid. And that's the thing, right? And we're not saying one way or another, like Garrison said, but imagine there's no room or opportunity for that to even be in question.
right.
Imagine.
Yeah,
You don't have to even guess because it's all honest, it's all transparent. Everybody can see it on the public blockchain and they can see it, and there's no room for manipulation. Like it takes care of things. And that's Garrison, I think that's a really important thing to really touch on. And there's a few more things, additional stuff that we could
solves a
cover. Like,
very big problem. Like it
yeah,
solves probably the biggest problem, trust, like you said. So,
yeah, it's work. And that's the awesome thing about these smart contracts too, is they work on like trustless system where you don't have to hope that they're doing the right thing, right? There's again, you, uh, take your feelings and set them aside for a lot of these things and just listen to some people and think for yourself. That's the biggest thing.
right.
Think for yourself. Like there's actually a really good interview with Tucker Carlson and the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele or Bukele. I don't know how to say his name. Sorry, buddy. But there's a really awesome video between the two, and they talk about how it took 1 year only to build the Empire State Building, but it has taken 10 years to work on this railway that's not even done, and it costs billions of dollars. And he's like, why? Why is that? Where's the money going? Because the Empire State Building was built in a little over a year. It was like 410 days, if I remember correctly. But Now we just have to, it's a trust. We have to trust, like, hey, look, Garrison might have once lost all this money, like $6 trillion. He's $6 trillion in debt, but I'm just going to trust that he's going to put this money in the right place, in the right hands, and we're going to take care of everything. But yeah, the last few things I want to touch on, bro, is probably energy and education, realistically.
For sure.
These are big too. With energy, in traditional Web2 world, there's centralized energy grids, traditional energy trading through utilities. But it's kind of monetized. Not monetized, monopolized is the word I'm looking for. Because, like, imagine I have solar panels on my building, and I'm in an apartment complex right now. Imagine the apartment complex has solar panels to provide energy for the building, but there's actually extra energy. But they could actually sell the energy back. There's a project called Energy Web Token. It's super cool. We're not partnered with them in any way, but it's really unique on how it works, because you could have these solar panels collect energy, sell it back to the company, or you could use it for yourself and sell whatever's left over, if there is any, which is super cool, right? In the Web3, it's peer-to-peer energy trading. Garrison and I covered it with Bitcoin. Really, it's digital energy, guys. It's stored time and energy is what cryptocurrency and money is in general. And then we have the education, bro. If you look at Michael Saylor and what he's done on his website, I think it's like
crazy.
Saylor.org, even Hope.org. Hope.org teaches about Bitcoin. It goes in depth and it's all free. His website, Saylor.org or Saylor Academy, it's something like that. You'll have to look him up. Get the direct links from him, not me. But it's amazing because he has college level classes and courses. Hello, Pocahontas. That you can get college credits for, and the education is free. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Where you're not paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to school and pretty much party for 4 years. Instead, I can go to his website, which I actually have pulled up right now, and I can go get a MBA from real college professors and get a certificate for it on there. So a lot of people don't realize that education in a way should be free, right? It's all documented. It's all in books and educate. Like,
Yeah.
one of the best places to get information is the library. A lot of information dies in books or in the graveyard.
Yeah, imagine you were able to slowly take your college courses at the pace that you wanted, or if you wanted to zoom through them. Maybe if you wanted to get through your 4-year degree in a year, I'm sure it's possible because of the hoops and stuff you got to go around in college. Imagine that would all be tracked on the blockchain, and when you hit this certain point onto the smart contract, the NFT of your degree gets sent to your wallet, and that's how you get it. And
That'd be
um,
sweet, bro.
yeah, that could be something in the future. But I don't really have anything else to cover. This has been a great episode. I do want to stress to, if this is your first episode, go back and listen to the first 6 episodes now. Like I said, this is episode 7. Make sure you go back and listen to them. A lot of this will make more sense, especially if you're a little bit lost. Some of this we've even covered a couple times in previous episodes. So,
Definitely, bro.
they say you got to hear things a couple times to actually learn it. So
Absolutely.
we're just
Absolutely,
recovering,
man.
going over the things that are important in Web3 and crypto. But after that, I'll go ahead and pass it to Tyler.
Yeah, bro. Well, yeah, it's been an awesome episode. I appreciate you. Today is June 24th for us. I don't know when you're watching this, but Bitcoin price is at 60K. ETH is at 3,200. Guys, don't forget to hit the like, the subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell wherever it's at, wherever you're listening to this at. Click the links below if you want to join the Discord and connect with us directly through there, where we can share information, different tools and things like that to help you and help teach you along the way, because the average person spends 100,000 hours working for money, but they never even invest 100 hours learning what money is. So guys, with that being said, we appreciate you. We'll see you next time. We're out.